Happy Monday, everyone. How has your week started? I hope that it's good. I hope you're having a wonderful Monday. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode and a very warm welcome. So over the past few days, we've been getting multiple good news concerning Prince Harry and Meghan. And myself, I'm just so happy. For example, when it was announced that Meghan was going to be running as ever independently, that was very good news. And then also yesterday, we got news that Prince Harry and Meghan will be traveling to Australia mid-April. That was also fantastic news, and I'm sure most of you were happy to hear all of that. Except there's one person who's been spiraling after hearing all of that news, and it's none other than Chris Ship. So ever since all these news came out, it seems like Chris Ship has been overwhelmed by all of these. And since then, Chris Ship has been spreading misinformation on his articles and even on his social media platforms. And now Chris Ship has found a way to be bitter about both the Australian trip and also about As Ever in one sentence. Yeah, in one sentence. And you just got to admire the way that these people are so creative when it comes to Meghan. They can literally say anything. So Chris is now mad because Meghan is going to Australia, and he has come up with this lie that As Ever is now going to Australia because Meghan is going there, and he's even influenced the entire UK media to be angry that Meghan will be selling her products in Australia and not in the UK. Yeah, that is what Chris Ship has done, but Meghan has actually responded to all of that and shut down Chris Ship's claims. So let me start with what Chris Ship was saying, because this is actually just hilarious. So Chris Ship went on to write an article for ITV, of course, and this was the headline saying, Meghan to expand her As Ever brand in Australia rather than UK. I don't know how he came up with that lie, because clearly Meghan hasn't said anything like that. And can you imagine, the entire UK media then ran with the same lie that Chris Ship came up with. And I'm now seeing multiple articles actually stating that. For example, Yahoo News also went ahead to say that Meghan to expand her As Ever brand to in Australia rather than UK. Well, that just reeks of so much jealousy and also bitterness. Bitterness that Meghan is going to be selling her As Ever in Australia and not in the UK, which is obviously a lie, because no one has said Meghan is even going to be selling her products in Australia. And even if that was the case, then there's absolutely no problem. After all, people like Chris Ship, who reside in the UK together with so many other royal experts, have been terrible towards Meghan. They've treated this woman horribly. So why would she even consider bringing her As Ever to the UK before taking it to other countries? It's not like the UK is her first country. I don't think so. Anyway, this just reeks of so much bitterness, so much jealousy that Meghan is even going to Australia, and that her products are obviously going to be sold in so many other countries, even though it hasn't been confirmed that she is going to be doing international shipping or selling them in countries. But let's just let Chris Ship and the rest of his royal experts be bitter, because they'll always find something to be bitter about. Regardless of whether Meghan does it right or does it wrong, they'll always be bitter about it. So Chris Ship then goes ahead to say in his article that the Duchess of Sussex is looking to expand her As Ever business venture to Australia before she starts selling any of her products in the UK. Wow, what a big fat lie. And he continues, Harry and Meghan's office has confirmed the couple will visit Australia in mid-April. Yeah, that is what Harry and Meghan have confirmed. But going to selling As Ever in Australia is are totally unfounded claims. And then Chris Ship continues to say that the 2 to 3 day visit is still being finalized, but the Sussexes are likely to travel to Sydney and Melbourne as they take part in what their office called a number of private business and philanthropic engagements. Yeah, we already knew that. And then he says, for Meghan, the private business meetings will focus on how she might expand her As Ever branded lifestyle products outside the USA for the first time. I don't know where Chris got all of this information, but myself, I just want Meghan to actually expand, and I hope she actually does it, because clearly these people are already spiraling over the thought of Meghan actually doing that. Then in another part, Chris goes on with his usual lie about Meghan thinking Netflix wasn't a good fit for her lifestyle brand, which is obviously a very big lie, because Netflix and Meghan have already clarified on all of that. And I just don't understand why someone like Chris Ship would go on with the same lie over and over again. It's embarrassing at this point. And he then says that having decided to go it alone with As Ever, Meghan now wants to test her items in other English-speaking countries, and it seems Australia rather than the UK is the chosen market. Did you hear that? English-speaking countries. That seems a bit racist to me, and they're just trying to brand Meghan in a very negative light. Meghan hasn't said that her products are going to be expanded to English-speaking countries only. And does it mean that people who don't speak English in their countries do not eat jam? Because that is what I'm getting from Chris Ship. Anyway, I'm just glad that Meghan actually shut all of these claims down. So according to GB News, who actually published the statement from Meghan, they were like, Meghan's camp sets record straight on international expansion of Duchess of Sussex's company. So according to them, they were like, Meghan's spokesman has rubbished reports of As Ever launching in Australia as speculation, adding that no decisions have been made. It comes as ITV reported that the Duchess of Sussex was setting her sights on Australia as the first international market for her lifestyle brand, thereby bypassing the UK entirely. And it's actually very shameful for Chris Ship that it had to be GB News that shut his claims down. We all know what GB News is. It's one of the media outlets that is so full of, let me just say, trash, right? Because it has very well reporters, people who love misinformation, and so many right-wingers. So when I see them publishing an article rubbishing Chris Ship's claims, then it just tells me how low Chris Ship has sunk to. People like Chris Ship are so used to spreading misinformation, just coming up with their own stories that fit their own narrative. Now they want to paint Meghan like this bad person who only wants her products to be sold in English-speaking countries. They also want to make it look as though she doesn't care about the UK and doesn't want to sell her products there, which is totally fine, by the way, because the UK hasn't been that nice to Meghan. I know there are people who love Meghan in that country, but the UK media has just been so nasty. And with all these cries about her not selling her products in the UK and selling them in other countries, it just shows me how desperate these people are about getting a hold of Meghan's products. That is what it tells me. They're so desperate to just have Meghan's products. I thought she was irrelevant. I thought they didn't like her at all. I thought they said As Ever wasn't performing so well. So why are they crying about her not bringing the products to the UK, which she hasn't even said she isn't going to do, by the way? But why are they crying about it? It's just totally absurd. And I think people like Chris Ship should be ashamed of themselves, especially for the amount of lies, the number of lies that they print in, I don't know, even in a day concerning these women, especially when they haven't even gotten their facts straight. And well, according to to GB News, they say that the spokesperson exclusively told them, and quoting, this is speculation. No decisions have been made about when or where international expansion might take place. Entering new market is considered a process, but it's something the brand is excited to explore as it continues to grow in this next phase. Watch this space. Wow, that is actually very straightforward, and I'm just waiting to see how Chris Ship is going to try and spin all of this again, because he tried to spin Meghan and Netflix's statement concerning As Ever, and I won't be surprised if he spins this again to make it look like she's still going to launch the products in Australia and not in the UK. Yeah, these people are really desperate when it comes to Meghan. And I'm just so happy that Meghan, and well, through her spokesperson, has actually clarified on this entire situation and said that they haven't yet decided on which countries she is going to be selling these products. Therefore, rubbishing what Chris Ship said about English-speaking nations only going to get the As Ever products. It's such a shame for people to make up such lies. And I must say, I really love the way that Meghan and Prince Harry operate nowadays. They won't let the UK media lie on them or just spread misinformation. They are going to shut it right there and then. So thank you, Meghan, for shutting this down and just clarifying on this entire situation. We can now just wait and see which countries are going to be getting As Ever and when it's going to expand. I don't know when it is going to happen, but I really hope it's going to be anytime soon. So yeah, with that shared with you, let me know what you think, and then I'll see you on the next episode. Have a wonderful time. Goodbye.